Come home when the war was over in Italy. I got to be the first sergeant, and I refused to go on up into Austria's occupation troops, and I refused going to officers training school to be a lieutenant. And so when the war was over, we were there for a while. We had 45,000 prisoners, German prisoners, and one of our jobs was to disarm them and haul them back to prison camps. And so we had to take their weapons, and they were kind of tricky. They'd leave a rifle or some weapon loaded and cocked, and if something happened to touch the trigger, they would shoot, and somebody could easily get killed. But we watched them pretty close, and I hauled prisoners for a week. I took 20 trucks, put 40 prisoners in it, and hauled them back about 75 miles to prison camps. And then when I got to come home, I come home, started from northern Italy on an old passenger train, and we got down to the Po Valley, and there was the bridge, the rail bridge hadn't been repaired yet, so they took us across in vehicles and loaded us on another train, and this time was in cattle cars and had about a foot of straw in it, and we rode from the Po Valley to Pisa, Italy in the cattle car. And we went through one tunnel. They said it was 17 miles long, but I don't think it was quite that long. But it was sure dark and smoky. And we made it to Pisa and was there a while. And then they asked me how I wanted to come home. And I told them I didn't care. They said, well, you want to go by ship or plane? I said, well, I never had a plane ride. I'll try that. And when my turn come, they took me to out the airport, and there was an old B-17 bomber sitting there, and they finally got all 4 motors to running, and they loaded 20 of us on it and took us to Port Leoti, somewhere around Casablanca in North Africa, and we were coming in there faster than they could take us out. So we was there about 3 days, and then they put us on an old C-47, C-54, 4-motored cargo plane, and we flew from Casablanca to Dakar in French West Africa, and stopped about midnight and gassed up and got something to eat. And next morning we woke up, we landed in Natal, Brazil, and was there for 2 or 3 days, and they loaded us on an old 2-motored cargo plane and started north of Brazil, and flying over the Amazon jungles, we hit a terrible tropical storm, and we had been flying about 8,000 feet, so the pilot put it up to 14,000. It was about 20 degrees cooler, and you could look down on the clouds and see them boiling around there. But we made it on up to Georgetown, Guyana, and gassed up there and eaten. From there to Puerto Rico, and from Puerto Rico to Miami, Florida. And I'd been overseas 3 years and 2 months, and I was sure glad to get home. And I landed, we got into Miami the 12th, and I was discharged at north of Chicago there, the 18th of July. So I had 3 years, 11 months, and 12 days in that hitch in the Army. And I guess I was pretty lucky. I come through it pretty good. My only biggest drawback was I didn't get hit, I got bit. a mosquito in the wintertime.